was in a cabin in the middle of
the
the
he was. What's up, guys? Good evening, everybody.
Oh, see, they're not going to hear any of that.
No, well, it's fine. You know what? We were just telling our guest today, Siobhan. Is it Laurice?
Laurice, yes.
Yeah, okay. Siobhan Laurice. We were telling her about a time. We're like, oh, it takes a couple seconds to upload. Except for that one time it did.
That one guy. I'm like, dude in London.
Yeah. It took like overnight. We're like, God, what is taking this guy's thing so long? Anyway,
is he
welcome.
Dial-up?
Yeah. What is this? 1997?
His mom picked up the phone.
Dong, ding dong. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, only people laughing at that are people like over 45.
Yeah, you gotta be at least a zennial or older.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Shervon, welcome. Thank you for coming, man.
So glad to be here.
Man, I am super excited to talk to you tonight about everything. We have a lot in common, just philosophically,
look,
I would say.
Even around the corner. I mean, like we bumped into each other on LinkedIn. Is that how we kind of connected?
Exactly. And then turns out we were both in the same state.
Yeah. The hell.
Doesn't always happen on LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly.
No. And normally it's like somebody will pitch me something. My bio literally says, "Do not pitch me."
Yes, I remember seeing that. Yes.
You know what's even funnier? The person who introduced me to LinkedIn did so in like 2001 or something preposterous. There was like 7 people on LinkedIn, right? And he was connected to the then CEO of IBM, and he was like, "Dude, check this out. I'm on this group and I'm connected as a first degree to this guy." And I'm like, "What the fuck are the words coming out of your mouth? I don't know anything you're saying." Like, and he had to like walk me into like what was happening at LinkedIn, and I'm like, so it's like Facebook for business people? Yeah. And he's like, "No, it's so much better." I'm like, okay, this guy's fucking nuts. And like forgot about it forever. And I didn't join for years later, but like, and then when I did, I'm like, oh my God, this is that thing that dope was telling me.
And it's funny because even now I'm seeing a decline in that. I'm like, why are we seeing religious and political posts? Why are we seeing religious and political posts? Can we please just have one thing where I can pretend like I like everybody?
Yeah.
That would be lovely, wouldn't it?
I totally concur.
I'm going to throw it out there. Red Note, the Chinese social media platform, is absolutely amazing. They're super friendly.
Yeah.
They love talking to Americans.
And 95% of them are actually AI.
No. You know what's funny now with the tariffs and everything? They're like, "Hey guys, so we're just going to tell you exactly what those high-end luxury brands you're buying, where we make them, how much they cost to make, and by the way, we're going to sell them to you at cost plus the tariff. So your Lululemons that you're paying $150 for, $200 for, we make them for $6.
There you go.
What's $6 plus 245%? Oh, like $25? We'll sell them to you for that directly.
Yeah.
I'm like, China's too smart for us to be messing with.
Yeah. Oh man. Did you see today on the news? Actually, was crazy. Bezos, I guess, quote unquote, was not planning this, but / was absolutely planning it on their low end marketplace, not Amazon branded, but whatever that Shrive competitor is. Yeah. Hall, like something like Amazon Hall or something like that. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah. Like their clothing thing.
Yeah. They were going to list on your invoice how much of that order was for tariff. And then supposedly Trump called Bezos directly and was like, "WTF, mate," and he pulled it back.
It was a hostile action.
He called it a hostile action, and I was like, no, it's actually a logical action. Like that makes sense because like if people understood like the exact dollars and cents impact this nonsensical trade war nonsense has caused them on a transactional level,
right?
They would be absolutely dumbfounded.
It is like, so nuts. It is so nuts.
And I think the vast majority of people don't really understand tariffs anyway. So that would bring it right down to them as individuals.
Yeah, you mean my headband from Xingnao Manufacturing just went up 150%?
Look, when I tell you I bought the Juve panel originally, right? Matt and I have talked about this. Juve red light panel.
Yeah.
Like kind of the first commercial or like high-end panel that was available. So I bought one for the office.
Okay.
A few months later, our buddy Brian goes, "Oh, I know somebody at the factory that makes those in China." and I needed another panel, and I got 2 half-size ones, which are actually longer than the one single one, for $1,500 landed. After I just had paid almost $9,000 for the one.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I was so upset. And then I needed another piece of equipment for another thing I had. And I reached out to this woman on WhatsApp, and she goes, "Oh, we don't make those. But my friend in the factory across the street, I think she does. I'll ask her for you." And I'm like, why would I ever screw around with another third party?
Yeah.
So when I need to buy some equipment, I'm coming to you because you obviously have all the connections.
It's just so Alibaba. Funny. They're like, oh, Alibaba, but like even Tingbao is another one that they're like, here's how you get around it not being in English. And they give you tutorials, right? Like in other countries they have it in English. In the US they only allow it in Chinese. So they're like, set your country setting to Australia. Put everything in your cart. And then when you go to order it, switch it back and you hit this button, and that's how you pay for it.
I mean, that's crazy.
Fascinating.
I mean, they're clowning us at this point.
Yeah. I mean,
they're not even trying.
Medicare was going to charge my mother-in-law, I think, like $4 or $5 grand for an oxygen concentrator. I went to Alibaba, to a manufacturer that I know in the medical space, and landed. It was like $550, like $550. So I'm like sitting there going,
and most of that is
Medicare,
probably freight and cargo.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so, and it's funny because I think that we don't have any proof of this. But from my memory, it was a 3-liter concentrator, and that price, the $550, was actually for a 10-liter concentrator. So it was like not just way cheaper, but it was significantly more volume. Not that would have made a material difference in this case.
People are going to log into the show to be like, is she a political expert? Like, is she?
Yeah. Speaking of which,
she deal in durable medical equipment.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's stop talking about that.
Why are we talking about politics?
Because it's the weird world we live in right now.
Yeah, I tell you what, man.
It's a bizarro timeline, and if I could slip to another one, I would.
Well, thanks to Google Willow, you actually, we now know you can, and it is a thing, right? Yeah, I did, Siobhan. I'm involved fairly deeply in the quantum computing world, and Google Willow last year came out, and they're like, "Oh, we solved this 4 septillion year problem in 90 seconds," and I'm like, "That's interesting, but not the headline I would have gone with." What they also did is prove the underlying math in the multiverse. So I'm like, you go with a septillion year blah blah, and that is the least exciting thing in there. What are you talking about? Like, you're telling me there's like an infinite number of this fucking conversation happening right now? Like,
Siobhan, I don't pull back the curtain too often, but Matt Hampton is actually a completely digital entity that only exists on a quantum computer. He's not an actual human being.
But are any of us actually human beings?
I mean,
let's not go down this rabbit hole, because if we do, it's going to be a 7-hour show.
Topic tonight at all.
No, 7-hour show. People are going to be like, "What the actual fuck?"
We'll be here for several hours on that.
Oh no,
I took just one little funny-looking mushroom.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, no.
That was my attempt to segue.
I mean, the amount of signs out there, and this is actually actually accidentally, this might be the most perfect segue ever. The amount of things going on in the world there that don't add up, that prove that we are in a simulation, that shit is growing by the day. Right?
Yes.
Like that is a big ass list, and it's getting bigger ass list by the day, which leads us into what you guys do, or what you do over there. Like, let's get into weird and multidimensional.
Let's talk about you for a little.
Yeah. Well, I thought I'd take a break from this political podcast to talk about a health lady. Yeah. Tell us about you a little bit. What's up? How'd you get here? What's going on?
My name is Siobhan, and I am a licensed therapist. That's my traditional normal kind of identity. I'm also a certified yoga therapist. And the fun side of what I do is I'm a mindfulness-based psychedelic therapist.
I mean, I find a lot of fun in yoga. I'm just being honest.
I think there's so much overlap in those three that you could combine
totally.
all three.
And I was able to combine all three. The psychedelic substances that I work with are cannabis as a psychedelic, as well as psilocybin.
You qualify cannabis as a psychedelic, do you?
Yeah.
Interesting. We're going to have to nibble at that in a second.
I think I had a quasi-spiritual experience after I had a giant panic attack on way too much cannabis.
Yeah.
I believe I saw the horn god.
Okay.
Did that Siobhan, guy talk to you?
Siobhan,
no, he ran past me.
Yeah, he ran. He's like, I have no interest in you.
He was like, no, this guy.
You're not interesting enough. Yeah. So, Shervon, I own headshop.com and have been in the cannabis industry for 23 years.
Nice.
And I have talked to thousands of people in the cannabis industry in that amount of time. And I have never one time heard anybody call cannabis or classify cannabis as a psychedelic.
It all depends on how you use it.
I am in a first time situation and when it comes to weed, that is an impressive feat
Matt and
in my
I will
world.
Practice whatever you say. So
yeah.
If you get a few friends together and you want to do it as a group experience, I will come to wherever you are.
I mean, all right.
Sounds like a party now.
Yeah.
All right. Let me just in reference to like
everybody pull out your calendar.
Let's get
this on the books.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I desperately want to like talk about that, but I feel like we cut the bio a little short. So let's kind of finish that real quick.
That's fast.
Yeah. No, I'll come right back to this. Don't you fucking think that? Yeah. Don't think for a second. I'm not coming back to this one. This fact.
We already smoked before we even got on here.
It wouldn't be the first time. We did a 420 show.
It would not be the first time.
And Matt asked me a question, and I swear it was like 5 minutes before I gave him an answer.
Yeah. All right. So now we've integrated yoga and psychedelics.
Those are the things that I do in the world, and I'm also the founder of Restore Tranquility, which is a mental health and wellness center here in Maryland. And so I see people for talk therapy, I do coaching, I offer microdose coaching, private yoga therapy sessions, and with psychedelics, I will offer conscious cannabis circles. And those are usually public, though the climate we're in right now, I'm not sure we'll be doing too many of those for the.
Yeah, we are putting an even bigger pin in that one to keep going, but we're coming back to that too.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Matt's taking notes on this.
Listen, I got a fucking bullseye in my head right now. We're coming right back to this. Trust me. Yeah, we gotta finish the bio though.
Good. Yeah. And then I do one-on-one sessions with people who are looking to either do spiritual work with cannabis or mushrooms, heal trauma, work through past traumas, as well as work through deep, deep depression that medication can't touch, or manage anxiety. So
did you get there sort of like straight liney, or how'd you get there? Like, did you? What?
Not at all.
Yeah, great. I was going to be disappointed if you said.
Nature.
Yeah.
No.
I was going to be disappointed if you said, "Oh yeah, totally."
Oh yeah. I shouldn't even be in this field doing anything with psychedelics or cannabis or anything. I'm a preacher's kid. I was raised in a super strict Pentecostal household.
Yeah, no fucking around up there.
Huh? That'll mess you up. That'll mess you up. That'll get you right into drugs.
Well,
yeah. Weirdly, this makes more sense than anything.
I'm surprised you didn't steal a cop car at this point.
Yeah.
No, I was a good girl. My brothers even called me the goody two shoes for years.
So you didn't go to the dance in the barn? Is that what you're telling me?
Didn't do anything I wasn't supposed to do.
Yeah.
I cut school once.
Yeah.
But
what a crazy
I pretty
girl.
much followed the rules. Through college, I didn't experiment with any drugs. I drank, got into my 20s, still had no interest. It wasn't until my mid-30s that I got curious about cannabis. But by then, I was already working for the federal government in law enforcement.
So you can't.
So I couldn't at that time.
Yeah.
I left the federal government job in October of 2013. And I had a trip scheduled with my group of women friends, our girlfriends. We would take an annual trip, usually to Palm Springs. And the girls from LA would always drive to Palm Springs, and they always had weed. And this was an annual trip. That year was the first year they didn't have to pass me by. That trip was in November. So less than a month later, I got to try cannabis for the first time. It was like,
wow.
Okay, it's nice. I'm not sure what all the hubbub is. And then I got to try it again later on and was like, oh, that's better.
Oh, that's better.
Better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, this makes sense now.
Makes sense.
All up to speed.
And not too long after, I want to say it was like 3, maybe 4 years after, Maryland got medical cannabis. And so if you had a condition that was on their little list, you could get a medical card. And so I did, because I have, by then I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And so I don't like taking, well, you shouldn't actually take the NSAIDs and Tylenol and all those things on an everyday basis to manage pain. And I didn't like prescriptions that are out there. And we know the history of that and how that all went down. I'm glad I never stepped into that realm. So I did start using cannabis, I think it was 2017-ish, to manage pain, and it was fine. It was good. But I didn't really have a social circle that I got into on a regular basis. So for me, it was medicinal. And then I stumbled onto, I think it was 2018, I stumbled onto a series called Psychedelica. And it's part of the lineup on, I forget that network, but there is a network that has all the yoga and the mindfulness.
Oh, is it Gaia?
Yes.
Is it that paid?
Yeah, Gaia.
It was on Gaia.
Yeah.
I just canceled my subscription. I did the free week trial.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's a little bit too much conspiracy theory here.
Now there is. There wasn't so much back then.
I will watch Ancient Aliens like there's no tomorrow and go, you actually got a little bit of a point there. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. And then on the other hand, I'm like, this guy's a fucking flat earther, or is he a fucking moron? Like, get him out of here.
We have pitched Giorgio a few times to be on the show because I want to talk to that motherfucker with the big ass hair.
Yeah, he's the one that talks.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, shit.
I fucking love that guy.
He's lit. I mean,
lit.
He probably is.
Oh, I fucking love that guy.
It's probably the best job ever.
Yeah.
He's like, you just pan to me and I say it's aliens, right? That's how this goes, right? Yeah, okay, cool.
Well, you
love that.
You know what? This is actually kind of a weird segue too, because the reason I like him so much is like we actually did a show on alien viruses. Like what would happen if an alien came down? Like everyone's all worried about, are they superior to us and all this other shit? They probably are because they got here before we got there, but that ain't the shit I'm worried about. It's whatever fucking weirdo bugs are hanging out that have never witnessed our environment or anything. Like
that's true.
Who the
wipe
fuck
us all
knows?
out.
Yeah, like who?
It is the conquistadors giving us dirty blankets, is what it is.
Yes, all over again. All over again.
Globally in this time.
Yeah,
but like why I want to talk to him, because aliens have nothing to do with the show. But like what does is like, you know, when Tom and I first started the show, the scope of health was really a lot narrower than it is now. And when we're on a conversation with people like yourself, mental health is clearly in health, but candidly, I don't even think we originally bucketed mental health into the sort of the spectrum of the stuff we would have the show about. But like it really quickly, as we started to nibble
about
away,
the human condition, right? Because every aspect we've had a couple of conversations about near-death experiences, right? Like these people died and came back, and like, well, that's not health. That's like death is kind of the opposite, right?
You
know, but they came back.
You came back. What supplement are you taking, man? Fuck.
It was meth. The answer is meth.
Yeah. So
for one of them,
you took a pretty steep dive. It feels like, right? You got on the train. So you're in, and you're rocking and rolling.
Big U-turn.
I watched that series, Psychedelica, and it had like 7 or 8 episodes, and one of them was on cannabis. They were talking about psychedelics in general and what the benefits of these psychedelics were, where they originated from, and so forth. And cannabis was one of them. And so I'm up late night, and I'm like, cannabis is a psychedelic?
Yeah.
I literally watched that episode 3 times.
Shervon, you've said it 10 times on this show, and I still don't fucking believe you. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I'm like, okay, I'll listen, but I don't think that's right.
The guy that they had several people on there talking about this, and the guy who had started the Center for Medicinal Mindfulness, which is out in Colorado, was one of the guests.
Of course it is.
And, yeah,
Sure.
right?
That makes sense.
His name is Daniel McQueen. He and his wife had started that center, and they had been working for almost a decade at that point with people around psychedelic cannabis. I was completely intrigued.
Now, is this indicative of like a style of using it or a dosing?
So
okay.
I started to do research. I was all over their page, found out they had a training, and he had a book coming out. So the book is called Psychedelic Cannabis. If you want to read it, it's a great read.
Okay.
I got halfway through the book and signed up for the training.
Okay, there you go.
And as the world is weird, my training was supposed to start the first week of April in 2020. The world
shut 3 weeks after everything shut down.
Shite timing.
I was like, you've got to be shitting me.
Yeah, for sure. No,
but to their credit, they had been doing this training for a long time, and they said, well, we're going to turn this into an online training. If you can hang tight for a few months so we can test this out,
sure,
we'll go ahead and do it in the fall. Sure enough, they tested it out, and we started, I think it was August that year. And it translated so well to online. So we basically got trained online as well as for in-person work, working individually with people with cannabis as a psychedelic.
Now, were you already a counselor? Were you already a counselor by then?
Oh, yeah. I've been a therapist for 22 years now.
Why were you a cop?
So, that's a funny
What the hell happened there?
So, no, I wasn't a cop. I was a pretrial services officer.
Oh, okay.
They had 2 departments that I could have worked in. One was substance abuse treatment, which is where I started, and then the mental health unit. And so as soon as a position opened up on the mental health unit, I transferred in.
Got it.
So that's where I was. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So does that get you? So that, like, was that your first time in mental health circles at this point?
No. So my stepping into mental health, I was actually like a case manager way back in my 20s. I've been doing mental health since I was a teenager. My first job, my first paid job, I was a peer counselor at my community center.
Oh, wow. Got it. Oh, wow. So you're like in it to win it, man. You're like from day one kind of thing. Yeah. That's awesome.
So, and now
that's very cool.
So I've been doing this a long time.
You know what's funny about that? You just called out your age, and I just, it's a recurring thing with what's going on right now. And I think it's just, it's awesome that I keep running into this because I'm 48. So you're just like a little tick, like you're high school, more than a little high school ahead of me. And so we're close, but like, I would say you actually have this probably a little worse than I do because of that little gap. But like, it's in our starting. They used to tell us not to do drugs, and now they're telling us to do drugs.
Yeah, like, we literally say that in the
that's in our show starting. I'm like, do you know what kind of fucking cognitive dissonance that shit is in my head? I mean, like, and that's every fucking time. Like, I'm out at a friend's party, and I wanted to smoke a joint, and I was like I was 15 behind the school, hiding behind a fucking tree, and I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you, dude? Like, fucking, you could walk down the street with this thing if it's legal, you know? And I'm like,
that's right.
Well, look, man, the first time I bought medical, I'm like, do I just walk out?
Do I just walk out?
Do I just, do I stuff it in my pants? Like, what do I do? What happens if somebody talks
is there 5-0 out front,
what
man?
do I do?
We walk
they're like, go to your fucking car, go home and get high.
Is this a trick?
Yeah.
You just
what
this is a sting, right? This is a sting.
And I remember that first time in, and honestly, I knew shit about shit. And I go in and they're like, "Oh, this is high in limonene." I'm like, "What the fuck is limonene?" And they're like, "Oh, it's a terpene." I'm like, "Dude, that's not helpful. I don't know what that is
You're
either."
saying words. They don't mean things.
They're like, and
what is good weed? Give me good weed.
That's all I was saying. In my mind, I was like, I don't know. Does it get you high? I guess is the right question, dude. I don't even know what I'm supposed to say here. You're making me uncomfortable as fuck.
But it's like, so funny how we got that vocabulary so quick. They're like, no, I do better with the beta caryophyllene, and I need this amount of myrcene. Yeah. You're like, really? No, keep me on the more indica leaning. But
now we're on it. This is good. Yeah, it's great.
So we're. I mean, I took for like the first 2 years, I would take pictures of the terp profiles on the back, and like I would actually take note. I'm like, all right, it was like I was tasting wine. Now I'm from just south of Napa in California, right? So where I grew up, every motherfucker has wine. We called it a condiment in our house. It's everywhere, like, right? And so as a result, people know how to talk about wine really well. Like it's a very astute conversation, even from the dumbest friend of yours, right? Like, because you just know, oh, this is a little dry. It's a little, look at the legs on that. Like, oh, I taste grass. Like and they're not even being stupid or ironic or bougie. They're just, that's like just a vocabulary. It's been there for decades and decades and decades in California.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see the cannabis industry start to do the exact same thing. You're like, oh,
there is a program. There's what, Gangier?
Gangier. Yeah.
Gangier. That's how we pronounce it.
Gangier.
I don't know. That's what they told me it was. I
well, no, that makes sense. Sommelier to Gangier, but it's like Gangier.
But you know what's funny is if you surrender to the idea that you could have a sommelier level conversation about cannabis, then you also need to surrender to the idea that you could have a sommelier conversation about MDMA, ketamine, LSD, psilocybin, right? Like
people, I've already heard the conversations about psilocybin. They're already starting.
I would lean on psilocybin more than say like a synthetic drug like MDMA, because MDMA is this, right?
Yeah, but that's not true.
You have multiple species, you have different varieties, you have weird mutations. I think you have more room to run where you have like just like varieties of cannabis, right? You have this ability to hybridize and change the compounds.
Yeah.
And the
you can blend
MDMA,
strains.
MDMA is MDMA unless
but see, that's where I kind of push back a little bit. I'm like, but I think we're using two different yardsticks here, because like on one yardstick, you're absolutely right. Like cannabis, mushrooms, those all have a wine level variant, right? Like you could literally talk about terroir like in wine and cannabis, right? Like,
I mean, that's right.
It's identical, right? However, the yardstick in LSD and MDMA in particular, like the synthetic side of that, and ketamine, I think would probably fall into this as well, but although maybe experientially a little less. But
we just got to ask Elon Musk.
But
sorry,
the nuance, the sommelier,
not a political show.
The sommelier in there is really the set and setting part, right? Which isn't not important in psilocybin for sure, or cannabis, right? But it's definitely. It is the gas pedal of nuance in the synthetic side versus there's like even more nuance, I think, in the organic side. Yeah. But I definitely think that like if I take 11 mics of LSD, it's extremely different than taking 50 mics or 150 mics or 400 mics, right? Like
you're using the dosage as the gauge for
it's dosage, intention, setting. Like I mean, there's a lot of things that I think contribute to that, because I think I've taken 11 and 11 on 2 different days and been wildly different outcome. Like, I'm Siobhan. I mean, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir to you. You know more about this than probably 100 of me. So,
well, it's interesting. Cannabis can be a cannabis journey can be very similar to a psilocybin journey. I've heard people say that a journey with cannabis reminded them of an ayahuasca journey that they've done.
All right, what the fuck are you doing to these people?
Look, man,
I'm not gonna lie.
Like what? I'm gonna agree with her
over here.
You know, my buddy Dre we had on the show back, with his shamanism. He was telling me that one day he was just doing hape, right? Tobacco.
Yeah.
Right. And he goes, dude, I did the altar. I did everything like I would up to ayahuasca. And all of a sudden he's seeing and hearing things.
Yep.
And he's like, it was the first time I was able to get there without the substance.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right. And almost like our brain can do that.
Yes.
We
I
just
truly
need to
believe
tweak
it
the
can.
situation, right? There's some people that come out speaking in tongues, and they're fucking, straight and narrow,
Yeah.
But I could absolutely turn LSD or psilocybin on in my brain at will, almost anytime.
100%. I agree with that too.
Yep.
Right. And
it's really, the pioneers in the psychedelics from the 60s with the reawakening, when they started talking about set and setting, that was like really the magic.
100%.
Adding in integration brings the parentheses around it. So when I'm working with someone who is wanting to do a cannabis assisted session, it's a whole process. I'm working with someone, like if they're not my client already and they're coming to me organically, I'm working with them for about a month to 6 weeks, because we start with the assessment. We move to, if they're appropriate for this work, we move to the preparation sessions, which could be 2, maybe 3 sessions. Then we go in and we're talking about their intention. What is your intention for this journey experience? What are you looking to get out of it? What are you bringing to this process that you're willing to let go of? Right? And then once they've set their intentions, we go in for their journey experience, which we do over a 2-day period. So the experiences are 3 to 5 hours, and we do them 2 days back to back with the cannabis. Psilocybin is 1 day. But the beginning process is the same for both medicines. And when they get to the experience for cannabis, it is really a process of them remembering their intention. I've already set up the space because I have a space where I am in my office that I can offer these. And when they go in, what we usually do is we blend. So it's not usually just one strain, it's a blend of strains. So we can take at minimum a sativa leaning and an indica leaning and blend them together.
Do you kind of like bespoke mix those things based on what?
Bespoke mix them in on the spot. Now I can't provide
that is the most
they go and bring the cannabis
yuppie word I've ever heard. Is bespoke.
It is, but
I'm like, oh, it's bespoke. It's like, oh yeah, so you custom made it. Just say custom made.
Just say custom.
Just say custom made, asshole. Yeah, fucking pretentious prick. So what I love about the way you're doing this is it is
like, bespoke? Is that what you're saying?
It's bespoke. Yeah. No, but really it sounds like shamanism, right?
I mean,
it sounds like shamanism with a degree.
People call me the modern day shaman doing this, but
this hybrid shaman.
Yeah,
but you know what? It also Shervon. First of all, you are preaching to the choir over here, dude.
We're ready.
I'm loving everything. I'm like going to do it right after we get off this phone call, kind of thing, right?
If we can wait to wrap.
Yeah, but you know what? What else? Just to not, I don't even want to say play devil's advocate, but like I guess what I love about the psychedelic space in general is it by design and intention hyper indexes on placebo effect, like hyper indexes.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I don't think it can. I think it absolutely does because
I don't think you play that down either. You play that up.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. What I'm saying is like, if you do your job right, these people go into this thing like fucking 100 miles an hour in the right direction and ready for anything. Like
ready.
Yeah. Right. And like that is
and knowing
almost
that
guaranteed.
I'm there to assist them if they hit a hard spot, if they hit a hard point that they feel like they can't get through. I'm there in the space to walk them through it, to talk them through it, so they can get to the other side of it, and feel more. Then this is why we do a 2-day, because usually the first day is the hard day. That's the hard, when people say I had a bad trip. For a lot of people who are working through trauma, The first day is the hard day because they are really working through whatever it is that brought them there.
Right. And are these people that are these people new to cannabis usually, or mixed bag?
No.
Not okay.
Mm-mm.
Right. Okay.
No,
So mixed
I've worked
bag.
with a mix of people. I've worked with people as young as 23, I think was the youngest client I've worked with so far. And the oldest was 89.
Wow.
Was that their first time?
No, she had used, I mean, she was an artist. She's kind of
like, I was a jazz musician in the
50s. She was running it in.
No, back in the
she
day.
was a smuggler.
Yeah, me and Pablo Escobar were best
friends. She had a speedboat off the coast of Florida.
She was a blue lady. She was great, but she hadn't used like regularly in a long time. But she said something like 3 years before she had smoked with a friend of hers while they were on vacation. So I mean, she was in her 80s.
What are you gonna do to an 80-year-old? Like what do you like? Even if it's illegal, you're like what? Like I'm not putting you in handcuffs.
Exactly.
No.
Raise generations of people. Man, so after that, usually once a person moves through that journey experience, we do integration. And so it's really about talking about like how that process was for you. What do you feel like you can take away from that? What do you feel like you want to change or add or do differently in your life? All those kinds of questions.
And how long after the second journey is your integration?
Usually a few days. So if the journey was on Friday, we try to meet on Monday or Tuesday.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And are they like journaling and stuff
absolutely.
like in that?
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite was, I always tell people to bring a journal with them because when I've done my own journey experiences, I get these downloads that I'm just writing. And so I always tell people to bring a journal with them. I had one client she was an artist, who brought her sketchbook. So when she sat up from her journey, she drew what she saw.
That's cool.
Amazing.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that is very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like sometimes, and I haven't done sort of a bigger, deeper dive in years at this point, but like there was a couple times where I'm like, I'm reading right from the Akashic records. Like I'm like, I'm like, hey man, which is kind of funny because I had a conversation with my son about like because we did our first college visit and I was like, watching kids like be college kids and everything. And I was like reflecting back on my college experience and I said, what always kept me. Look, I was by no means did I color inside the lines in college.
He was in art school.
I was in art school. I got 2 art degrees. There is nothing I have not seen or done. I assure you that. But you know what kept me moving is like this, like I used to think it was like this, I called it the thread back to reality, right? Like, so no matter what was happening, I always had this like little thread that I could kind of hold on to. And I just needed 2 fingers to hold on to it.
Yep.
And if things got really crazy, I'm like, look, I could hold on to this thread just like this all the time. And it was like, I was basically what I found out years later, I'm like, oh, I'm literally like prepping myself for and talking myself through a journey. Like, I'm just like, and I just didn't even know back then. So when all this stuff starts to get codified and like sliced and diced and analyzed and refined, it's super close to my heart because I'm like, look, I was doing that shit self-service back when I started this journey for myself. And that was much harder to do. And like, what a cool thing to have like this list of options now that's different. Right. And not only is it different, but like a newbie, like somebody who is like that 23-year-old, right? Like their life experience is very shallow. They've definitely probably not done this before.
Right.
They don't need to be like, okay, put it on my tongue and fucking cross my fingers. I have no idea what's about to happen.
Exactly.
Like, and like, I mean, there's a certain like romantic thing about that, but I've seen that shit go sideways way too many times, right? You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, it never did with me, but like, you dance around those crowds.
The grip and approach is gambling a little bit.
Yeah.
So like, what made you narrow down the compounds you worked with? Was there a particular passion to those things or calling to those things?
Thank you. That was it.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes there.
I like having my license so I can still see clients. And so
I hear that dramatically increases the chance of a paycheck.
And so cannabis is already legal in the state of Maryland. And so that's where I began knowing that cannabis can be used as a psychedelic and it can still be just as effective and helpful as the other medicines. I've worked with people with deep depression who I could just watch the depression fall off of them. It was amazing.
Interesting.
Worked with people with PTSD. I have worked with people who find themselves just stuck making a decision, like a major life decision, like, should I start this business? Should I move back to my hometown and start this master's degree, or should I stay here and take this job in DC? Those kinds of like life questions. Should I marry this person?
Right.
You know? And so legality was the first thing. And then I did go back to get the psilocybin training because Maryland is in talks to decriminalize. And so I'm
You cross the border.
Across the border. That might be in Maryland soon too. Who knows, right?
I think it's. Oh, did we just lose her? I think it'll definitely be in this space soon enough. I can't imagine that we're not as progressive as say like Colorado.
I mean, I think Maryland has done a really good job overall of being like at the forefront of these conversations.
I also think like some sanity there too.
Yeah, for sure.
Like we're a little bit more sane than some of the other countries.
Yeah, not a problem. You know what? We're just talking away over here.
Look, you know, we just kept it going.
Yeah,
we definitely think that Maryland is on the forefront of this. Maybe not the first state, clearly, but you know, West Coast and then us is kind of.
You know what? I think I look at. I grew up in California, lived outside of New York City. You know, went to school in Connecticut. Like Baltimore was a weird sort of landing place for me. Like just sort of.
I think it makes perfect sense, honestly.
No, but now that I've been here for a long time, I'm like, Maryland is actually, I think, the most sane place I've ever lived in when it comes to these policies. Because
I feel like it's the realest place too. I know that sounds kind of weird, but people are who they are here. You know, they're not. You know, and I think that reflects in some of the policies that we have.
Yeah, well, and I also think like, I mean, I've watched like legalization in California go, legalization in Colorado go. I've watched all these different things happen. And like the one that went the least bonkers was Maryland. Like it wasn't nearly as bad as everybody else.
You know, I also feel like some of that was they sat back a little bit. They let other people do it. They saw the problems there. And then we're like, okay, cool.
And then said, hey, what are we going to do about this?
This is how we do this the right way.
Right. And I agree. And that's going to be, I think, hopefully, I mean, we follow suit, but we've already seen what Oregon, did Washington go? I think Colorado went for psilocybin.
Yeah. I mean, DC is definitely decriminalized. I know, like she just mentioned that, you know, you can go there and you know, she has space there. And honestly, there's plenty of places that you can go. And much like you can buy weed in DC, you go and you make a donation and you leave with.
I know that doesn't that like system kind of rub you weird? Like you're like, all right,
man, it's legal. Is it even like no one's fooling anybody? But I think we got to make a trip over there. You and I should make a road trip over there.
Road trip over.
And just, you know, 45-minute drive. Maybe we hop on the metro.
Yeah, that's funny.
And, you know, go pick stuff up.
I and I guess the question is, if it's not regulated, what do you think it is? I mean, I think that
I mean, who's fucking with mushrooms?
Well, I mean,
you know, it's
not anybody.
It's yeah, but like, look, if you have a storefront,
right?
That's what these places are. I think you're going to be on the up and up, right? You know, I think, you know, also reagent kits aren't that expensive, right? I mean, you know, I think very quickly a fraud or somebody that's not doing it the right way would get found out.
I mean, I guess, but like, I mean, would you, if you went and bought like a eighth of shrooms, would you do a reagent test on it? I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I don't think I would. I don't think,
no,
you know, I
definitely would not.
But like, especially if you're getting whole mushrooms, you know what that looks like.
Well, sure. I agree to you. I agree there, but I'm just like, I'm just saying.
I don't think they're dusting it in fentanyl. You know, I don't think that's a high enough priced item for them to mess with.
No. So Yeah, I mean, well, I always wondered that about every drug though, because like, why lace anything with fentanyl? Like, is it
Well,
just to make it?
I think they, well,
Is it just to make it more addictive? Like whatever.
I have no idea because like I've seen people cut coke with like baking soda and stuff
Right,
or
shit
rat
that's cheaper.
poison. It's shit that's cheaper. But I mean, I feel like part of that might be the anti-drug propaganda where it's like, oh, they're putting drugs in your fucking kids' Halloween candy, and you're like, which houses?
Yeah.
Where?
Where? Name the place.
Please tell me I can get a candy apple with a joint in it.
Yeah, I mean that would be
that would be amazing.
Yeah, completely, like totally. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, like the DC thing is a little weird because it's kind of like when the entire city is doing this, like why not
why
just
pretend?
Like why pretend? Like I mean,
yeah,
it's like just stupid. It makes no sense. Like, do you know how much more money? And this is like, everyone bitches about cash.
Taxable money.
Yeah. Just fucking do it, and now you get a tax revenue, and you turn around and like you have renewables. People go back to those places all the time, and so like you're monetizing it.
Yeah,
right? Like,
it's funny where I think, and even that, right? You mentioned it goes a little crazy. I think was it Colorado that had like a surplus of weed, and they're like, we don't know what to do with it. And I'm like, hey,
here's my address.
Other states will take it.
Yeah, my home address is.
If you could ship that across property,
yeah, if you could ship that across properties,
yeah. Well,
that would be amazing. So,
Siobhan, please do not worry. We're just going.
We're just yammering.
Are there thunderstorms by you now?
No, nothing.
Did you start getting rain?
No.
All right, because like before we hopped on, I literally said, Matt, I was driving home and I thought my internet's going to go.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, the clouds are coming, but I don't hear anything yet.
Nothing yet.
No, right.
Okay. All right.
So Shervon, like, I know you have to love all your children equally, but like, is there one modality that you sort of feel is sort of like your jam, or that you just like relate to better?
Who's the better kid?
Yeah, who's the better kid? We want to know who the better kid is.
Psychedelic work is everything. The same.
No, I meant like which psychedelic, like which one are we talking about? You said you mentioned a couple. Yeah. Like, yeah. Give me
which compound.
Yeah.
I have to go with the first one. I have to go with cannabis. As much as I love working
it's
with
so funny. I like
people. Cannabis is magical. Like it can
You're
almost
gonna send me down
morph
like a
to
10-hour
be whatever medicine a person needs. So I've heard people say things like, "Oh, that felt like an ayahuasca journey. That felt like a psilocybin journey." The last journey, when I was out in California and Colorado, the last cannabis journey I did felt like a psilocybin journey. So it's.
And listen, I've done a shamanic I did a shamanic breathing session that was that was more intense than any psychedelic.
Breath work is amazing.
Like my shit was on another plane. Yeah, I was absolutely on another level of existence. So like I definitely can hold space for the potential that like anything can really be, transcendental.
It'll take you there.
But
and it doesn't even have to be
but I'm so fast
of cannabis either, because the way we do the sacred blend and the amount that we invite people to imbibe would be a high level of cannabis. So you're taking more than just a couple of tokes.
So it's a smoking.
Yes,
you're inhaling.
If we're going with edibles, we could be there for 8 or 9 hours, because some people.
Oh no, I just didn't know if you did like a. I didn't know if you.
I didn't sign up for this, and I'm the one leading it.
Yeah, I didn't know if you guys like rock like a volcano or something.
We use vaporizers, and my favorite is the one that I was trained with which is PAX vaporizer. Those are really cool.
Okay, all right. Matt has one within arm's reach, right?
Yeah, I the PAX is well. It's funny though. I've been selling these things for 23 years now, like on Head Shop, and I've used all of them, like literally hundreds of them, and I do agree with you. Like if I had to call like the best daily use sort of tool, PAX would definitely be at the front of that line. However, I will say double the price but a volcano offers a tremendously more precise delivery system.
Okay.
So when you have like the digit or the digital one, right? And you know that like these terpenes express at 376 degrees, like you can dial it directly to 375 degrees and know that you're not getting that. You know what I mean?
How are they not our sponsor?
So like you really, yeah, yeah.
Like that was a fucking commercial.
Yeah. So it is really, really like
get something for that.
On a therapeutic level. I think that there are better tools. And I was just, that's cannabis accessory geeking out. Like that's not.
Perhaps Matt will give you a discount
Yeah.
code when we hop offline.
Yeah. Oh, we got tons of those. We got tons of those. Yeah. I get those all day.
Give you a scratch and dent floor model.
I've
Good
been
price.
trying to figure out how to get PAX to be like an affiliate sponsor of mine because I have told everybody I know about PAX.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a weird place where until we have like some uniform national laws,
right? Everybody,
no one can do anything.
It's a pain in the butt.
Yeah,
it's so stupid.
The Israelis who do, I used to, I don't know if that's still true, but they used to do the most cannabis research in the world.
That might still be true.
Yeah,
they do a lot of research,
and they almost, I've never heard of them not using the volcano. Like that's the tool.
I did see some research where they developed like almost like an asthma inhaler.
Yeah.
And they were using that as well, but I think it was like it's just a mist. It's not even vapor, you know.
Yeah, those like I said, I'm interested. I mean, the geek boy in me about that is interested, but I'm also aware that like if you were to smoke like incendiary ingest cannabis, the net effect is significantly different than if you vaporize cannabis at specific
and
temperatures.
That's still my favorite. I know.
Yeah, but you're ripping through the terpene rainbow in a nanosecond.
No, but there's something so
it's
primitive about it.
It's totally tribal.
Like it is
tribal.
Yeah, it's an experience, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
like passing the joint around a circle.
Or the pipe.
There's something. Or the pipe, yeah.
And like, look, there's ceremony in there too. I remember when I was in college.
Ritual, yeah,
we would put like 3 different kinds of weed into a glass bowl, and like we would all pretend like putting the lighter on the very side like somehow made it better for the next guy. And I'm like, I guess maybe, but like either way, like let's just smoke this fucking bowl and move on with our lives, right? Like but like there
also your options when you were in high school and college weren't let's walk into the dispensary and there's 70 different varieties on the shelf. It was like, what does the guy got?
Shh, don't tell anybody, man. We're gonna get in fucking trouble.
Shh, wet the towel, stick it on the floor.
Get the toilet paper tube with a downy sheet stuffed in there. Yeah, you know.
That's funny. Why you don't use fabric softener? No, I do.
Yeah, my clothes are smooth as fuck, bro. Yeah. So after somebody's done, right? Walk me through sort of like, and you've done the integration. Do people like, because I am curious, we haven't really asked anybody this. What is the sort of lifetime value of a client, right? Do they keep coming back for more ones? Do they is it a one and done?
I was wrong. It's a business show.
Yeah.
Most people, they come for the one.
What's your EBITDA, damn it?
Can you tell me the ROI?
Come for the
What's the cost of acquisition of a new patient?
Some people do come back for a re-up session, and we'll just do one session instead of the 2 back-to-back usually. So for instance, one of the clients that I worked with back in 2021, where we did the full experience, she requested to come back earlier this year. You want to guess why?
I would love to. Not guess.
Something that was resolved got worse. Or another.
There was a layer
level.
She was a federal government employee who got one of those notices.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Jesus
and when
Christ.
she came to me to do her journey experience in 2021, one of her hard questions she was trying to work through was, should I start this business or not? She had had a failed business 10 years prior and was scared to death to do it again. When she came and did that journey experience with me, though, she started that business, but she'd only been working it part-time alongside her good government job. And now it was being
Good
pulled out
government
from under
job.
her. So she needed it. She needed
Did she
to
still have the
re-up.
other company
So
anyway?
now she's working that business full-time, and we will see what happens.
Look,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know what? I firmly believe that the universe, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing,
That is true.
Yeah.
you're almost not allowed to have
Yeah.
the choice. Like, I'm gonna fuck
Yeah.
this up for you until you do what you're
have
supposed to
been
be
on
doing.
the
Yeah.
receiving end of that.
Oh, believe me, that's why my nose is crooked.
Yeah. Right. No, but you know, it's funny. We had breakfast. Tom and I actually had breakfast with two friends of ours, like the other day, this week, actually earlier.
Man, that breakfast fucked me up.
And they're,
I'm like, I left going, I got to make some life decisions.
and yeah, I mean, it's almost like there was psilocybin in
Right?
the eggs, if I'm being honest. We were all fucked up. Yeah, like, you know.
I was wondering why that biscuit was so good.
Yeah. But it is interesting because this particular group of friends, you know, we talked about soul families again. That's not the first time that's happened. Like, it got into like that kind of level of weird.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it was really
it started that at that level of weird. It started and then escalated, and then I'm like, okay, none of this is real. I don't.
Yeah, why does it even
anything.
matter? It's a
like,
fucking video game. Get me out of here.
We're playing a video game right now.
Left, right, up, down.
Look, man, AB, start. I'm there for that cheat code.
Yeah, but you know, but what I like about this is, like, you know, you start talking about these conversations and stuff, and it's like you realize that, like, all that dumb shit we were taught is all bullshit. Like, you know, video game or not, that shit was a video game. Like, there was no fucking reason for any of that. It was all bullshit. And like, I can't tell you I mean, I got diagnosed with ADHD when I was 40. And I was like, okay, like, I did that only because I acquiesced to a test. Like, it wasn't because like of anything else, but I was sitting there going, we were too dumb to have this conversation 30 years ago. And I actually had a conversation with a highly neurodivergent person today who was very involved in this process. He's my age and did the same thing. And he goes, you know, had I known, I said, well, what would you have done differently? What's a 5-year-old going to do if you knew you had Asperger's or if you were autistic or whatever? Like, and he's like, and then he gave me 25 minutes of fucking cogent, crystal clear answers. And I was like, yeah, bro, you have given me like a lot to think about, and now opened my mind to, like, in 10 years, there's no way we're not having this exact conversation about psychedelics, because it seems so primitive to not embrace it at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels nonsensical.
Which is so crazy, because if we look at like McKenna's like stoned ape theory, this is how we got to be us.
Like, so they keep saying we debunked it, and I'm like, did you? I don't know.
But like, even if you did, the primal urge for us to eat, we at some point somebody tasted everything on this planet. You know, everything they could get in their mouth, they put in their mouth. Right? I mean, that is like what we're constantly yelling at toddlers not to do.
Just saw it today. I was in a store. A kid put his mouth wholeheartedly on a hard surface. All of a sudden, I heard this mother, catch it.
Yeah. Oh,
honestly, man, as a 48-year-old man, my wife has said that to me more than once.
Yeah.
Thank God she doesn't listen to the show.
Meanwhile, I was in New York City when I had my son, and we'd take him on the subway, and people are like, I don't think you should let your son play on the ground. I'm like, no, it's fine.
We're inoculating him.
Like, you know, this is his vaccine.
Will never get
That's
sick.
True. You let him do that.
Yeah.
If he survives.
Yeah. Hey, man, he's doing all right, man. You know. So what do you see like is sort of the future here for you, and maybe more esoterically the industry, but like specifically you? Like,
the therapy industry is changing. It is being taken over and overrun by a lot of digital platforms. And so it has really started to change, and the insurance companies are buying up therapy practices left and right so they can control more of that side of the market. And I think people have come to the understanding that talk therapy, if you just are having a problem, you know, you want to work out something at work, something's happening in your family or in your partnership, basic life problems, therapy's great. If you are working out some hard trauma, some of it you can't even remember, but you suspect something happened, talk therapy is going to be a longer process than what people are willing to go through or to even pay for. And more people are not trusting insurance companies. I stopped taking insurance in the end of 2022 because I don't trust insurance companies. And
you mean it's normal for people to go running around gunning down the CEO of a health insurance company?
Look,
Yeah,
I'm literally
that
going.
happens for no reason.
I gotta order that votive off Betsy of Luigi. I'm just gonna put it in my clinic window and just leave it there.
Perfect.
Not say he's a cousin. No, that's all.
He's a cousin.
Tell everybody he's a cousin.
Yeah. So
I feel like no one questions when you have it like
but
you're
honestly,
Italian. You say, oh, he's
you
a
know
cousin.
what? You know what's crazy is that shit. You know, all those health insurance companies did is hire bigger security teams for their CEOs. They didn't fucking take a lesson
they didn't even
from
take a
this at all.
stride. No one. Look, man, I've got a whole bunch of fucking United Healthcare denials sitting on my desk at work, and I'm like, God damn it! Where's my other guineas? You're like,
I mean, it's fucking
I'm throwing
nuts,
around
man.
ethnic slurs for Italians right now. Like, I need more of you guys.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts, man. Like it. But you know what? It's such is the case. Like smart people, everyone I know doing what you're doing, Shervon, is an intelligent, intentional human being.
It is
right?
not.
Like
it is not some dumbass that just wants to get fucked up.
Right. And I feel like these morons that run these insurance companies are the exact opposite of that. They're whimsical, like they're fair weather friend, and they're governed only by the 2 to 5 quarters they happen to be in charge, and then
How's
that's
that any
it.
different than our current government?
Well, no, it is the same. It's always the same. But what I'm saying is
same
like
assholes hoarding money,
right? Yeah, but here's the difference, though.
It is
in a lot of cases, if you look at it, right, it goes like this.
Castro.
Yeah, it goes up and down. But if you drew the candlestick, it's going up, right? Like we are getting better at this, right? Like the fact that Shervon is practicing right now, like is testament to this, right? Like, I mean,
you can't put the genie back in the bottle.
You certainly
what
can.
they did was they stifled it from the 60s and it was still there. And all it did was go underground. All it did was just break the law because stupid laws are going to get broken anyway.
Well, stupid laws that do nothing but benefit people are going to obviously continue.
Well, yeah, you know, like not walking on red is like a good idea, you know, but like, you know, in this case, the amount of people that became clandestine chemists and, you know, like we've had more than one guest on that's like, look, I'll give you the doctor's number, but not on the air. I'm not even going to mention their name. And it's like, call them and tell them that I talked to you, but you're going to leave a message first and they might call you back. Right. I mean, why?
You're gonna,
they don't want to be in front of the fucking state board and like, hey, Yank, you can't work anymore.
Yeah. Here's his beeper number. Send him
Jesus.
Send him a beeper.
This is definitely a show for Gen X.
Yeah, right. So I listen, I love what you're doing, and we really could talk to you for a month on this.
We'll have you back on.
But I would love to like maybe pick your brain again. Yeah, for sure. I love, first of all, I love that I now have found out that cannabis is just somehow a psychedelic. I've
already sent you the link to the book.
I can't fucking wait to figure that out because that's awesome.
Yeah. It was an amazing aha moment for me, and this work continues to give me aha moments. I think for me, my transition is going to be eventually moving more and more towards psychedelic spaces and offering more and more as things like, I can't wait till psilocybin is legalized here or decriminalized here.
Yeah, that opens up a lot.
That is going to be...
Well, even decriminalized opens the door, right?
It'll just be a game changer, but that's the work that I want to do. But what we are noticing, there is something we're noticing this year, and I think it's because of the change in administration. I was talking to a guy here in Laurel. I live in Laurel. And he was telling me he owns a head shop. And he was telling me he started getting phone calls with people who are acting like customers who want to know if he sells certain products.
You know what the do you know what the products are?
Well, certain THC products that I guess if you're just a head shop, you're not supposed to sell. So people are fishing around. He also shared with me that talks are being batted around in Maryland Congress about making people who have events, cannabis events, get a permit. So now you're going to get.
You know what, though? I don't mind that stuff. I know people get all hot and bothered about it.
I'd be okay
but
with
like,
a permit, but the way, like, the crossing guard at my kid's school was like, yo, ICE came in and busted Dundalk Elementary School. And I'm like, you motherfucking pricks. We're talking about kids under the age of 10.
Right.
You motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Being that this country shouldn't even fucking exist.
Yeah.
And you're going to pull out people that are browner than you.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
If I didn't make my political stance clear.
But here's the thing, though. Like, I mean, look, what's going on there, and we could have like 9 more shows on this.
Oh,
but
that's
like,
just going to get me angry.
What's
Let's
going
not do that.
on
I feel
there
my blood pressure go
is
up.
really like, I think part of what we were talking about earlier. We're in this awkward transition from what was to what will be. And every rung on that ladder is fucked up right now because nobody knows what that looks like. And listen, I'm not condoning their behavior, but they're as fucked up as all of us right now because nobody has a clear direction of what's happening, but everybody knows shit is never going to be the same.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like we all know it. We feel it. Your dumbest friend feels it. Your smartest friend feels it. We all feel it, right?
It's so true.
It is. And nobody knows what to do. And so like, listen, this is something I will tell you, I am not a religious man, but I say I have to connect with my divine to like every day to give patience for this. But like, I've got to give people the ability to have that problem because the monkey in me is like, you're a fucking idiot. Boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? Like I just, and like the empath in me is like, you know what? You shouldn't do that because this guy's as fucking sideways as you are. Right. Like, I don't know. It'll work itself out, but in the meantime, it's all fucked up. It sucks.
It is definitely that. But in the meantime, I'm going to continue to do the work I do.
And in the meantime,
well,
Siobhan's going to be fucking cranking is what I'm hearing
help
here.
as many people as you can and you keep going until you can't go.
Yeah.
That's exactly
right.
Right.
Siobhan's booked out for like 6 years. It's weird. You can't get an appointment with her. Yeah.
You gotta go deep to get any sense out of anything that's happening.
Absolutely.
So Siobhan, guide us for the AI that scrubs our show at the end. Guide us to where to find you.
Where do you go? Where does that go?
Let's see. Folks can find me at restoretranquility.org.
All right, restoretranquility.org.
And then I'm also
Great.
on
Are you a social
Instagram,
kind of gal?
and that's also Restore Tranquility. And I have a YouTube channel, Restore Tranquility.
Imagine that. That's so crazy.
Kept the brand symmetrical.
Yeah.
Good for you.
First of all, as a near 30-year-old brand guy, I applaud your consistency.
Thank you very much.
It's quite, yes, I love it. It's rare in the world,
indeed,
right?
Indeed.
You know what? I'm the guy that's driving 90 miles an hour down the New Jersey Turnpike and like leans over and says, they're using inch markers instead of 99 quotes. And my wife is like, what the actual fuck is your problem? Like,
one too many degrees.
She's like, you are a fucking lunatic. Why on earth am I married to you right now? Yeah. She's like, my kids are like, I'm not even going to respond. I'm not even like, this is too ridiculous for me to
you
even
are
talk
90 miles an hour down the New Jersey Turnpike.
No, hell no. No, that's sort of like
Matt got me from Baltimore to Brooklyn faster than I ever have gone.
Hey man, we had a show to get to.
We had to meet people.
Yeah, we had to meet people. We had to go.
got there and we had time to get a coffee and take a pee.
Yeah, exactly. So Shervon, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
I knew it was going to be a good
amazing
time.
Guest.
Anytime.
I love it.
But we'll definitely have you back.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, enjoy the weekend. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Be subversive, irreverent.
Health is wealth, but you knew that.
Everybody knows that.
But so is following us on social media at Irreverent Health. And check out our website for more exclusive content at irreverenthealth.com.
Oh, I like this.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Irreverent Health.